Jibber Jabber Season 2 starts now. Hey, everybody. Fantasy Football Jibber Jabber Week 4. Change of venue. Lot to be discussed, but just not right now. Let's just get right into it. Gerard, by the way, how you doing, buddy? What's going on?
I'm doing all right, Kev. Yeah? I'm doing well. I got to tell you, I'm loving the new digs.
Thank you.
No Kevin the Stat Guy tonight. He's got a birthday party. Happy birthday to Kevin the Stat Guy.
His girlfriend. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Ginger Billy. No Ginger Billy this week. Spending the week in Disney World with his family.
I'm there in November for a work trip, and then my wife is bringing the kid down, so I'm going to have to bite the bullet in November.
Well, that's the whole point of this show, right? The whole point of this show is Disney World cost. It's impossible to get down to Disney World for 3-4 people for less than $10,000 now, right?
But you know what? I made a lot of money last week, and so did Gerard, and I paid for about 2/3 of Disney World. So listen, but first, before we get ahead of ourselves, let's do a quick recap. Cold cash for yours truly, I stunk. I only had Matt Ryan as my only hit of cold cash. My hot trash, I went 5 out of 5 for hot trash, so I killed that. Sleepers, 0 for 3, terrible. Free money. 1, 2, and 1 for the picks I gave to you on Jibber Jabber Live. For the Patreon members, I had Pittsburgh plus 6.5, Rams under 49, KC over 52. 5 and 1 last week. 70. That's 70% against the spread this year on a monster curve so far. Let's keep it up. Gerard, how did you do last week?
That is worth the price of admission. Last week, I went 3-1 against the spread last week. My biggest win of the week, however. I went 5 for 5 on the hot trash. I missed on all of my cold cash picks, unfortunately. Yeah. The biggest one that I missed on was Goodwin down in Tampa Bay. And I had the right idea. I just had the wrong wide receiver because Mike Evans did everything to the Giants that I thought Goodwin was going to do.
Yeah.
And you know what? Good on him. At least I know my logic is sound. I picked the wrong wide receiver.
I had Cameron Brate, who got me a big fat 0 because the Giants actually covered the tight end, or they just decided to dump it to Mike Evans in the air 70 yards
a clip. And my biggest pick of the week, though, was my sleeper of the week quarterback for the New York Football Giants, the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, the one, the only, Danny Dimes.
Beautiful pick. Beautiful pick. Matt Ryan had 36.5 points for me as my cold cash. That was my best call of the week. But listen, free money, that's all it comes down to. How did you do? 3-1, you said?
3-1.
Cowboys. 5-1. 8-2. That is 80%. Do you listen to the words coming out of our mouths? Patreon.com/fantasyfootball jibber jabber. That is how you get our secret picks for free. The ones we are absolutely sure, can't say sure, very convinced that are going to win. Fantasy football Jibber Jabber on Patreon.com. Look for it up.
Not only that, Kev, but 2 of my picks had less than a 50% probability. I went against the CBS book on it. Both the LA Rams -3 over the Browns.
Loved it. Took it.
Walking away.
Took it.
Panthers Cardinals over 44 with a backup quarterback. See, I've been telling you for, I don't know what, 18 weeks now that Cam Newton is not the same player. Everybody expected Cam Newton goes down, that offense is going to sputter. I said, absolutely not. Cam Newton is holding that offense back. And sure enough, now I didn't expect Allen to go out there and look like the next coming of Jake Delhomme, the young Jake Delhomme. But over 44, never in trouble. And the Cowboys
got lucky. They were driving late in the end.
22.5. You got to have the stones to swim in the water. 22.5. And I tell you what, that's 3 weeks in a row against monster spreads.
Yeah.
Do you have the stones to go again with Miami 4 weeks in a row?
There is a bet I have in the Miami game. Am I going favorite or am I going dog? We'll find out. But let's go right to it. Actually, I take that back. Let's go right to our favorite sponsor, only sponsor, let's be honest. Black Betty's, Route 35, Sayreville, New Jersey. Hey, who was our Black Betty's pick of the week?
This week, the Betty's girls like the Ravens. They're home, they look good in purple, they harbored murders and girl beaters over the years just to field a winning team. They have what it takes, the Browns are unachieving and are a mess. Beckham is overrated, and as for Mayfield, I never trust anyone with 2 last names. Take Baltimore -7 and get in the win column.
You know, Kev, I actually finally made it into Black Betty's this weekend.
Did?
Yes, and I got to tell you,
Tom hooked you up.
Good time, man.
Love Tom.
Good time, Black Betty's. And do you know what else? Our good buddy Matt Bridgestone from AC Jokes has a huge comedy birthday party coming up. You can
I'll be there
You
in
can
October.
see us at Black Betty's having a comedy show. You can come. You can stay upstairs with all the ladies, or you can do what's right and come downstairs in a room full of men and have us tell jokes about Matt Bridgestone. Everybody's.
I think that's October 24th. I believe it's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday, 23rd. Give that a look. 23rd is a Wednesday. Black Betty's, Route 35, Sayreville, New Jersey. Go in there. Listen. Go in there and discuss. Is that girl who has spoken for the UN, Greta Thunberg? Greta what? Go see. Do you agree with her or not? I don't know.
How dare you?
I know. I don't know. I think global warming is very real, but a lot of people think it's a bad idea. By the way, she said her autism was a superpower. Did you see that?
Don't care. We should have started the show off with this, especially the big movie buff that you are.
I see.
Did you see the trailer for the new Adam Sandler movie?
No, I didn't.
None other than the sports pope himself, Mike Francesa.
No!
Dropping F-bombs.
Really?
He says...
You mean he stayed awake for that?
He goes...
Back after this.
Yeah,
Back after this.
He goes... Are we live right now? No. Okay. No. So Adam Sandler asks, what do you think about this? And he turns and he goes, that's the worst pick I've ever heard in my life.
Utter disaster. Here's the Mink Man.
And you know what? Good. Cheers to you, Mike Francesa, for kind of embracing who you are.
I did not see that.
Yeah.
Did not see that. Did see Rambo, but I did not see that.
Awesome. So anyway,
Black Betty's pick of the week. Baltimore -7. That's a lot of points to swallow. I will say this is the first time all year long I actually do agree with that pick. The other picks they've been giving us, not so good. They're 0-3, but I actually think this is a good one. Baker Mayfield stinks. The Browns stink. The offensive line stinks. Let's get right to it. Cold Cash. Cold Cash Player of the Week for yours truly, none other than the garbage time king himself, Matt Stafford, at $5,500. The Chiefs' defense on the road allows an average of 328 passing yards with 25 touchdowns and 6 picks. Only David Carr and Case Keenum failed to throw multiple touchdowns. Stafford with only one game over 20 fantasy points, but you better believe he'll be chucking it up all night, kind of like Calista Flockhart back in 1993. Damn it, I did not check off that box. I should throw away the jokes and stop recycling those vomiting jokes from the 90s. 3 weeks ago, I did that joke. It was a hit. Moving on. Cold Cash quarterback, sir.
$5,300, $200 less than Kevin right here. I'm sticking with the hot hand. I'm going with my man Danny Dimes as my Cold Cash Player of the Week, going up against the Washington Redskins defense. They have a good pass rush, Washington Redskins, but Landon Collins, one of my old former favorite players.
Yeah.
If you saw him on Monday night, he got absolutely shredded by the ghost of Mitch Trubisky, right? Now you have maybe the best pass-catching tight end of 2019, Evan Ingram, going up against...
How dare you knock my Lawrence Taylor autograph photo down?
LT likes this pick so much he fainted. So
is there a 15-year-old girl in the audience here?
I watched Landon Collins follow around tight ends half as talented as Evan Ingram for 3 years. I got to believe Evan Ingram is going to be a monster. I obviously can't use Evan Ingram as my tight end.
I was just going to say, don't you pick him?
He's the number 2 tight end in the league right now. But I absolutely love what Daniel Jones has to offer for the Giants this week. They're going to be throwing the ball 45 times in this game. They have no running back. It's going to be slants to Shepard. The entire Redskins defense plays off zone. Josh Norman is a shell of his former self.
Yeah.
Slants to Shepard, up the seam to Evan Ingram. Danny Dimes escaping. I can see Kerrigan and Sweat coming around the edges like this on the turnstiles that are the New York Giants tackles. And Danny Dimes stepping up,
right out,
rolling out, running for 10. I love it.
The last time the Giants had a rushing quarterback, we were all on AOL dial-up. That was so fun to kind of watch that. For a second, I love you, Eli, but that was great.
A lot of people, I do need to say, but a lot of people were going off on the Giants and saying they've never had a running quarterback. Put some respect on Jeff Hostetler's name, all right? You put some respect on the Haas's name.
Was Kent Graham not a running quarterback?
He was running
Danny
for
Cannell,
running for his life quarterback.
I like the pick. I'm going to go to the game on Sunday. I'm going to go see Danny Dimes' first home game.
I'm going to go too.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, I'll see you at the tailgate.
Are you going with Tom or?
No, I'll find him over there. But yeah. I'm going to go with my buddies. My running back, Cold Cash Player of the Week, is Marlon Mack. You know what Oakland is not good at stopping besides having rooster fights in the parking lot during their home games? Stopping the run. Terrible. Dalvin Cook ran for a $110 and a touchdown. T.Y. Hilton banged up, may not play, questionable. So Mack may move up from Kelly Knowlton territory to Beyonce territory as a head crown jewel piece in that offense. Mack, 2 out of 3 games with at least 16 PPR points. Oakland makes a second trip to the Midwest for a 1 p.m. game in 2 weeks. Oakland going to London next week. They may be looking ahead already. They'll be tired. Mack's going to feast on a team that is 11th in points allowed to fantasy running backs. Marlon Mack, $6,100, cold cash. Give me yours.
Kevin's favorite running back in the NFL, none other than the Heisman winner himself, Derrick Henry, running against the sieve that is the Atlanta Falcons defense in a run-heavy offense. If they're going to win the game in Atlanta, they're going to have to control the clock and they're going to have to control Matty Ice. I like Tennessee this year. I think Marcus Mariota, believe it or not, is actually the weak link on that entire team. And
no surprise.
I am a big fan of Mike Vrabel, and I think that they finally figured out they have a bell cow back. He's gotten no less than 18 touches in all 3 games this season. Big volume, big opportunity equals big fantasy points. Derrick Henry is my cold cash player of the week.
God, it irks me to take him sometimes. You make good points, all right. What's worse than the Pittsburgh Yinzer accent? The Pittsburgh women, according to Lenny Dykstra.
Timeout. Flag.
Oh, my flags.
Love Yinzers. To hell with Kevin. I spent some actual time in Pittsburgh. It's a sleeper city. Great time, especially for a single guy. Big time party scene, gorgeous girls with absolutely nothing else to do, and they think New York is an exotic place. So you can go there.
Here's Harris Sanders. Here's Kevin Sanders.
Yeah, listen, Kevin. I know you think you're a model, man, but you're a New York 6. You're
a Vegas 7.5.
You're a New York 6, and you're a Pittsburgh 9.7. All right. Sometimes it's good to fish in shallow waters.
Oh, says the guy dressed like what's his face from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Andy.
We have a new set, so this was a big event. I wanted to wear my tuxedo.
Wardrobe. What's worse than the Yinzer accent and the women? According to Lenny Dykstra, I'm going to say that again. But here's what's even worse. The Pittsburgh defense against the slot, where the wide receivers are 35 for 40 for 530 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's Police Academy 6 level awful. Boyd had 2 touchdowns in 1 game against Pittsburgh last year. Tyler Boyd, Cincinnati Bengals, Monday night, $6,200. Cold cash wide receiver. Your Honor.
Where were we at, by the way, production? Where were we at on having the Kevin 80s reference tip jar? Every time he makes an 80s reference, he has to put $1 in the jar.
I love it.
We're gonna pay for a production pizza party at the end of each episode. Cooper. That's right, Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Manning, I was going to guess.
Cooper Kupp. Cooper Manning's got a son named Arch that's like the best high school quarterback in the country, believe it or not.
Cooper Manning also manages Eli and Peyton's career.
Is that right?
Yeah, because he had a leg disease that obviously he was supposed to be better than those 2 guys.
But he was a wide receiver. Yeah. Anyway, Cooper Kupp is like the most underrated player I can think of. This is 4 years ago, Peyton Hillis. People saw it coming, but they were like, come on, the white guy can't keep it up for this long. And it turns out he's got something going on with Goff. Twice as many targets as Woods and Brandon Cooks in the same offense. He's the 8th wide receiver off the board. He hasn't had a game yet this season with less than 16 points for only $6,500. You can have Cooper Kupp. It's almost $2,000 less than Julio Jones is coming off the board at, playing against an unbelievable defense in Tennessee. I love Cooper Kupp. 8th wide receiver coming off the board. Money in the bank.
I have him in my DraftKings league this week, as a matter of fact, so I like that pick. Tight end cold cash player of the week is going to be Will Dissly. The Arizona defense against tight ends is like grandma pouring. Very painful to watch because someone usually poops in the end. Arizona defense has given up 25 points per average for each tight end of all 3 weeks this year. Unlike Ivanka Trump at the UN, nothing sticks out like the Arizona defense. How hot was that? Take Will Dissly to continue the trend. Will Dissly, $3,600. Your tight end.
I am in love. This is one of those weeks. Boomer bust all year. He was my sleeper pick for tight end this year. He's had a rough start to the season, but he's been targeted in the end zone 5 times through 3 games. It's only a matter of time. And this is that time because he's going up against the worst defense against the tight end in the NFL and the Oakland Raiders. It is none other out of North Carolina, Eric Ebron. Coming off the board, Eric Ebron. Coming off the board at $4,000, even the 7th rated tight end. Now, I'm going to get into it a little later in my hot trash. He's ranked 1 spot above somebody that you should fade for the entire rest of the year. And Kevin's not going to like this, but you should fade this guy for the entire rest of the year, and I'll tell you why.
All right. Flex cold cash player. God, it's legal to get married to another man in Jersey right now, right? Chris Carson, $5,700. Not do that well last week. He fumbled again last week.
Killed me last week.
3 fumbles for the year. He fumbled twice all last year and never in college. I'm afraid if he fumbles again, he's going to be double bagging groceries in Whole Foods next to the guy from a different world. Another 80s reference. Rashad Penny is Rashad Penny is questionable, so that's good for Carson. With that, though, out of the way, Arizona 30th ranked rushing defense and also gives up the 4th most red zone drives. Last year, Chris Carson had against the Cardinals a $122 and a touchdown. I love Chris Carson this week to rebound nicely in Arizona. Your flex pick.
You know, if you've been watching to the show, you know for the last 18 weeks or so that I am a volume guy. I love usage. I love the fact that if you have a lot of opportunities to score points, you can score points. I do not like these big hitters. I hate them. I can't stand them. They're entirely too hard to bet with. That being said, there's one guy that I absolutely love. I watched in the last 2 games. He could have actually scored 6 touchdowns the last 2 games. He gets behind the defense more than any wide receiver that I've seen in 15 years, and that is none other than not Nicole Kidman, but Mecole Hardman. Mecole Hardman is going to give you a heart attack all game long because it'll be the 4th quarter and he will have exactly 0 receptions on 2 targets. And he'll say, what am I doing? Why did I play this guy? And then he'll go over the top for 65 yards. And then he'll go over the top for 45 yards. And you'll look up and it's 2 receptions for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's got 25 points. He's done it twice. You got to play the hot hand. That guy can get behind any defense, and the Detroit secondary cannot stay with him. I love Mecole Hardman in this game. He's not going to be a volume guy. This is not a PPR pick, but this is a dude who gets behind the defense more than any receiver I've seen since Randy Moss. I don't know if you watch, not a lot of people, believe it or not, as great as Kansas City is, not a lot of people watch their games. They're a regional team. But now that I have Red Zone, I get to watch the games all the time.
Greatest invention ever.
Let me tell you, man, Mecole Hardman, like, there are drop-offs to Kelsey that there's obviously this is the first read that they're going to. And you see this cat is 15 yards behind NFL. It's insane. This guy's a cheat code player. It's nuts.
I was just going to say, he's like Michael Irvin in like Madden 95, where he's doing a straight go route. And you're just like, boop.
Do you know what it's honestly like? You talking about Madden 95? Remember when you used to be able to cheat by bringing Deion Sanders?
Yes, as a wide receiver.
And you'd put him in as a wide receiver and you'd get
smoke.
Yeah, that's honestly what it reminds me of. You know who he reminds me the most of? I'm going to like really test your football knowledge here, folks. Remember Oz Hakeem?
Yes, from the Rams.
From the Rams.
Yeah.
Everybody loved Torrey Holt and everybody loved Isaac Bruce for good reason. But there was 3 plays a game where they just gave Oz Hakeem a fly route and Kurt Warner threw that bad boy up.
He was a kickoff return king to that guy.
Mecole Hardman reminds me of Oz Hakeem.
That's a good call.
That's where I would run this week.
Why do we never disagree anymore? This is not fair. Hot trash graphics.
I would say that the Mecole Hardman could blow up.
I like it. Well, you're going to hear more about that.
Maybe I should have made him a sleeper. Damn, I should have made him a sleeper.
Good God. I've drafted Matt Ryan in not 1, not 2, but 3 leagues. And the 1 league I did not draft him in is my own league. Who did I draft instead? Baker Mayfield, hot trash quarterback player of the year, $5,800. He has only one good game all year. 13 points per game in 3 games outside of that one Jet game. 3 games in a row below 20 fantasy points a game.
You know what, though, man? Rex Ryan doesn't know anything about the quarterback position, so I was with you here. And now Rex Ryan don't like him. Watch him go off for 35 points, right?
By the way, if doesn't Freddie Kitchen looks like he wears an apron that says "Kiss the Cook" while only wearing boxers?
We said that, by the way. If you watched our preview,
Step on my joke, Aaron.
If you watched our preview episode, what did we say about the Browns? What everybody else, ESPN,
under nine.
What was everybody? This needs to be said for posterity, right? What did we say? Everybody in the entire world was all Browns. They might as well have just given them the Super Bowl. What did we say?
They stink.
We didn't say they stunk necessarily, but we said that's a lot of personalities for a first-year head coach. That's what happens if they don't get off to a hot start? What happens if he's got Odell and Jarvis Landry and David Njoku, but he starts running 4th and 9 draws to Nick Chubb?
Best call. I had the Rams -3. I loved it. Anyway, let's do that joke again. But those are Freddie Kitchens looking like he wears a Kiss the Cook apron with no boxers on. Ugh. He wears also Oakley's in the back of his head like every garbage person does from Alabama on spring break. Anyway, 4th and 9, they call it draw play. Oh, isn't that easy? An awful offensive line taking Baker Mayfield against a solid Ravens defense makes about as much sense about doing a shot of Lake Erie water out of Drew Carey's belly button.
Jesus.
One more Cleveland reference. I'd rather tongue kiss Lou Brown and Jack Parkman at the same time than take Baker Mayfield this week. Ravens defense allows 11.8 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. Matthew Berry had a gem here. I'm going to share this. Mayfield, first quarterback with 35 passes without multiple touchdowns in the team's first 3 games. I sat him last week for Kirk Cousins, who actually outscored Mayfield by about 1.5 points. They both stunk, but I sat him, and that was a smarter move. Baker Mayfield, hot trash. Avoid him like the plague. Your Honor.
They're all losers, whether by birth or by choice.
Yes.
My hot trash quarterback of the week, he had some people fooled the first 2 weeks of the year, but he showed his true colors in the second half of last week's game. Jameis Winston is my hot trash player of the week. The problem with Jameis Winston, the processor doesn't get going. He has all the tools. He can throw the ball a quarter mile. He's got great wideouts. But once you get a little bit of pressure, and I mean just a little bit of pressure, he falls apart. And if that's what you do when you're facing Aaron Donald, you're going to have a bad time. He's got to keep Talib back there. He's got Aaron Donald. He's got Clay Matthews. And he's going to have himself a hard time against the Los Angeles Rams. You know, one of the things about Wade Phillips, everybody remembers him being so bad as the head coach of Dallas. They forget that this is one of the most brilliant defensive minds of all time. And once again, he's got that defense absolutely firing.
Fun fact about Clay Matthews, he already has more sacks this year than he did all of last year with Green Bay.
Yeah, Green Bay decided they were going to move him to middle linebacker for some reason. And Wade Phillips was like, hey, bud, I got an idea. Why don't you just go get that guy? Yeah. You got Aaron Donald, who they're moving around the line now. I don't know if you noticed on Monday night, he was playing defensive end. I mean, that's crazy. When I was starting to talk about Reggie White stuff, they pick out the worst offensive lineman on the offensive line, and they move Aaron Donald over him. And listen, you've got 2 guards over in Tampa Bay that they can't handle Aaron Donald, who the Giants.
The friend says it. Aaron Donald. Back after this.
Who the Giants should have drafted over Odell Beckham Jr., but I digress. Bottom line here is, if it's less than 3 turnovers, I will eat my hat.
Floored. Hot trash running back David Montgomery, $5,300. Short week and playing one of the toughest rush defenses at home. Minnesota has put 7 in the box for 70% of the time and are 7th best in rush touchdown percentage, 8th best in yards per play, 9th fewest points to running backs. A bunch of Vikings roughing up and manhandling a bear. Don't get excited, Gerard. Make this a bad play. Do not touch David Montgomery. Hot trash. Your turn.
LaShawn McCoy has been coming up the ranks. He's stealing all of my Damian Williams fantasy points. But he goes up against a Detroit team that has none other than the greatest run stuffer of his generation, Snacks Harrison, in the middle. If you watch LaShawn McCoy, they're actually using him as a hammer. LaShawn LaShawn McCoy is being used a little bit like LeGarrette Blount in this offense. He's getting all of the carries in between the tackles, and then he's coming off on passing downs. This is like Twilight Zone for LaShawn McCoy. You can't run between the tackles on the Detroit Lions. Matt Patricia's defense stuffs the line of scrimmage. Right now, LaShawn McCoy is coming off the board as your 9th running back overall at $5,600. Josh Jacobs is $500 less, okay? James White is $1,000 less.
I don't like James White this week, though.
Fair enough. Tariq Cohen,
don't like him either.
$1,500 less. Ronald Jones, $2,000 less.
Like
Frank Gore, $2,000 less. Rex Burkhead, $2,000 less. I like any of those guys just as much as I like LaShawn McCoy. Running up into a really tough matchup this week, there are better options at the price.
Yep. Hot trash wide receiver. I love this guy all year, but this week, not a lot to love when you're facing the league's best defense in YPP. That's John Brown, $5,300, Buffalo Bills. Do you know the Pats, Gerard, have yet to allow a receiver to catch a touchdown so far?
I'll take it one step further. Do you know since the Super Bowl, the Pats defense has scored more points than they've given up?
Well, that's a good one. Opponents are 5 out of 27 with 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions when throwing deep against the Pats. Pats have allowed the second fewest points to wide receivers. Stephon Gilmore has shut down Juju Smith-Schuster. Very good receiver. He has shut down Devontae Parker. Who cares? And Robbie Anderson, who is a criminal. Do not take John Brown this week against the Pats defense. Hot trash receiver of the week, sir.
Hot trash receiver of the week, none other than Allen Robinson, the supposed #1 wide receiver of the Chicago Bears. Mitch Trubisky is going through a third-year slump, the likes of which we haven't seen since Tara Reid. The
90s reference, dollar.
That offense is sputtering. It's a run-heavy offense. Kevin already gave you the stats on why you should fade Montgomery. I got the exact same logic for Allen Robinson. There's just not enough weapons, and the quarterback is not good enough to get it to the weapons. I love Matt Nagy's offense. Right now, the only person on that offense that I would focus on is Tariq Cohen. Tariq Cohen is the only playmaker that they have. Allen Robinson is getting smothered in coverage, and he's still going off at $5,600. The same exact price as DJ Moore and one of my sleepers of the year, Larry Fitzgerald, who's put up 2 top 10 weeks in 3 weeks this year. The ageless wonder, one of the greatest of all time, Larry Fitzgerald, is going off at the exact same price as Allen Robinson.
And
do better, people.
For $200 more, you can get Daniel Jones' new favorite target, besides Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard, who we might have something to say about later. Tight end hot trash player of the week is, I love beating him up, Jared Cook. He has 5 catches in 3 games. And 0 red zone targets, 10 PPR points in 3 games. I'd rather shoot fire ants into my urethra than trust him, especially with Bridgewater running the team for the next few weeks. That is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, bad. 1990 reference. 1980s one. Tight end.
Austin Hooper, ladies and gentlemen.
Killed it last week.
Austin Hooper, the tight end that killed last week, has everybody back on the bandwagon. He's right now the 6th tight end off the board at $4,300. $4,300, the 6th tight end off the board. Do you know what his floor is? Do you know what his projection floor is?
0.
Never a good sign when your projection floor is 0. Now they think that he's going to score 11 points and that his projection ceiling is 24. I don't see it. Not against one of the toughest defenses in the NFL. I do not see Austin Hooper getting the volume that he needs. Matty Ice has to get the ball downfield now. I also think Devontae Freeman is another one that just, what is going on with Devontae Freeman this year?
I will never draft Devontae Freeman. I do not trust him whatsoever. Titans 10 days off to boot to plan for that game. Do not like that game away. Do not like that game
Dirk
at all.
Cutter likes the tight end, so I mean, I like Dirk Cutter, the fact that he features a tight end in his offense, but I just don't think that he's going to have it against one of the best wide linebacking cores in the entire NFL. To me, this game is going to come down to 2 things. It's going to come down to Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. Those are your 2 options.
Flex hot trash player of the week is DJ Chark. That's right, the Jacksonville reborn wide receiver. Everyone thinks he's Jimmy Smith, for Christ's sakes. No, thank you. 5th fewest red zone drives allowed by Denver, and he's going to draw Chris Harris Jr. Allen Robinson, who's not good. Devontae Adams held in check both by Denver, scoring less than 9 PPR. Denver is tough at home. They should have beat the Bears the first time, and I think this is a must-win now for Denver. I think the defense claps down. I do not like anyone on Jacksonville's offense, including DJ Chark. Your Honor.
DJ Moore.
Oh, DJ Tanner's next.
DJ Moore. DJ Moore, paper tiger. A lot of people are looking at him and they say, how can you say this? He had 14 points last week. The first time with a new quarterback. He's going to go in, he's going to kill it. 2 targets. 1 reception. He happened to take it 52 yards to the house. He had a great first week with Cam Newton. He came in with super pumped up expectations. I would fade him because the quarterback did not look his way. You're looking at him last week saying he scored some points. I got to play him. He scored points in 2 out of 3 games. I got to play him. No. Paper tiger. It's a mirage. 2 targets last week in a game in which your quarterback threw for 300 yards. Think about that. Now he has to play against a tough defense in Houston. A lot of pass rush, good secondary, and they cannot cover the running backs out of the backfield. Nobody has given up more receiving yards to the running back in 2019 than Houston. Who gave up the most receiving yards to the running back in 2018?
Houston.
Who gave up the most receiving yards to the running back in the AFC South in 2017?
Houston.
We have a trend, ladies and gentlemen. And who is the running back in Carolina?
Ed McCaffrey's son, Christian
McCaffrey, one of the greatest receiving running backs we've seen since Marshall Faulk.
Oof.
McCaffrey, now we're not allowed to pick McCaffrey because of our rules here.
Right.
But my absolute lock of the century this week is McCaffrey. I can see McCaffrey going off for 100 yards rushing, 100 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. I can see McCaffrey scoring 40 points this week.
I love him this week. I have him in my league, so I love it.
I would spend the money on McCaffrey. That just sidebar here. McCaffrey's costing you $9,000. McCaffrey's $8,800. That's quarterback money. I get it. I would spend it. I would spend the money on McCaffrey this week for your daily fantasy leagues and go with some of the other people that we've talked about as our locks and who we're going to talk about as our sleepers because that's $9,000 well spent. He's going to be good for 40 points. Do not, however, for only $1,500 less, spend the money on DJ Moore. His 14 points last week were a fluke. That's 2 weeks in a row where he's faded. Run that trend. Right. No targets.
Now it's time for the cheaper options of the league, and now we're going to go to sleepers and graphics.
Baby sheep, baby sheep,
Darren Waller, $5,200 is my first sleeper. He is, by the second most receptions in the NFL.
Darren
Waller, a 30.2% target share. 6th most points to tight ends are allowed by the Colts. Waller with 12 PPR in each of his first 3 games. Darius Leonard of the Colts is in concussion protocol. Austin Hooper, the aforementioned, had 2 touchdowns against the Raiders last week. Darren Waller faces the Colts this week. Darren Waller, I love him this week, especially in the PPR.
Evan Ingram, by the way, 4th overall in yards this year. So
wow.
Crazy.
That's all one play.
My sleeper of the week, Case Keenum.
Jeez.
My sleeper of the week.
He's questionable.
Is Case Keenum. He's got 1 more week in him. He had 5 turnovers last week and still scored 16 points. Case Keenum is going up against the worst New York Giants defense I had seen.
Since the Jets.
We've gone from the Big Blue Wrecking Crew to the Big Blue Border Patrol. Everybody gets through. They do whatever they want to do whenever they want to do it. Case Keenum is going up against the worst Giants secondary I've seen in my 30 years of existence on this planet. He's going to have high volume. It's going to be a high-scoring game. They don't have a running back that's going to be able to run against the Giants' front line. I like Case Keenum this week. $4,900. $4,900. He's the 21st quarterback off the board. The Giants have given up the 3rd most points in the entire league, and it's the most points that they've given up in the first 3 games of the season since the 1976 season.
Oh, this is the Fire McVay banner.
This is a historically bad Giants defense. They have no pass rush that's gonna bother Case Keenum. They have no secondary that can cover Mitchum. They have absolutely nobody. I loved the trade for Peppers. I thought was great, but he's been landed columns light, and Vernon Davis has found the fountain of youth. I like Vernon Davis. I like Mitchum. I like a shootout at Giant Stadium, and I like Case Keenum this week.
Janoris Jenkins looks more like Ferguson Jenkins. At least he was good. Yeah, I agree with that pick. All right, second sleeper of the week. I have Marvin Jones, $5,400. I drop him, and he blows up. It never fails.
Every time.
He had 101 and a touchdown last week against the Beagles. That's right. The Chiefs defense has let up 4 or more wide receivers score at least 14 points PPR, 3 games so far this year. Marvin Jones, $5,400. And they will be chasing points against the Chiefs. I promise you that. Marvin Jones, Stafford, again, I love him as my quarterback, cold cash. They will be airing it out. They'll be down fast. Marvin Jones, you.
Listen to me when I'm talking to you. Listen to me when I'm talking to you. Listen to me when I'm talking to you. Take Case Keenum like I told you, okay? And then you can afford both Evan Ingram and Christian McCaffrey, and you will have yourself a good time. But let's say that you can't, and let's say that you want to go with Deshaun Watson or Lamar Jackson. I get it. Fine. Your running back that you needed, only $5,400, is a guy I did not like coming into the season, but my co-host has actually turned me on.
Yes.
I am a big fan of Kerryon Johnson. Kerryon, my wayward son, going up against maybe the worst front seven of a 3-0 team I've ever seen. I cannot take the Kansas City Chiefs seriously until they fix their front seven. They have nobody on the defensive line. They have no linebackers. They can't cover out of the backfield. We're going to have to air it out in this game. And who do you air it out to? You're trying to go downfield. They're playing 2 deep coverage, man under. Oh, we look downfield. Okay, now we got to drop it off. How many times a game can you do that? 10, 12, I don't know. Who do all 12 of those targets go to? Kerryon Johnson. Kerryon Johnson, in a game where they're going to have to score points to keep up, is going to be a high-volume player. Only $5,400 coming off the board.
I like that. I do. Number 3 and my only New York football giant of the week, and I love Wayne Gallman for a mere $4,600.
Flag.
Well, you want stats? 11 PPR in his first 3 games of 2017 before Barkley became a permanent fixture. Skins are on a short work week. Why not? The Skins stink. The Bears gashed that defense. For a cheap price, you're going to have a guy who's going to get you just some quick, easy touches, PPR points.
No.
Look at, he's not a cold cash player. He's a sleeper.
Fair enough.
He's a sleeper. I'm not locking him as a flex or cold.
His longest rush of his career, Kevin, 3 years. What's the longest rush of his career?
25.
24 yards.
Oh, close. I'm good.
24 yards.
Fine, that's fine. He's going to get the red zone touches. There's no one else in that. There's no one else in that backfield with vulture touchdowns. Again, it's a third sleeper. Wayne Gallman's a cheap play.
I hate it. I hate that pick. I hope, as a Giant fan, I hope you're right, but I've seen enough Wayne Gallman to know.
All right.
My sleeper, the old faithful, the regular. I feel like he's my blankie that I've had on my fantasy team for 15 years. He is one of my all-time favorite players, and he should have been great last year, but the bum that is Josh Rosen didn't know what to do with greatness. This kid, Kyler Murray, who's an absolute stud, does. He targets him 9 times a game. Through 3 games, 9 targets a game. That's how you make money out of the slot, young buck. 2 touchdowns, 320 yards receiving so far through 3 weeks. But because he's old, right now he's coming off the board at $5,600. The same exact price as Allen Robinson. The same exact price as D.D. Westbrook. Put some respect on his name. The Hall of Famer, Larry Fitzgerald, going up against Seattle. Now, Seattle, they showed you last week with Teddy Bridgewater coming in and putting some smack on him. That secondary is not the same. That secondary is not the same.
I did, because I had money in Seattle. Did
Alvin
you see?
Kamara dominated.
Did you see the turnover, the points off turnovers, the fumbles they had? 14 points off turnovers. That game was not the same. It was not the Teddy Bridgewater show. It was all Alvin Kamara, and that's it.
Dominated that game, and Larry Fitzgerald will dominate this game. I love Larry Fitzgerald. in this game against Seattle. And also, Seattle's scoring more points than they've scored in the last 5 years. They're scoring points. You have to score points to beat Seattle. This isn't the old Legion of Boom, 21 points wins them a game. Russell Wilson had to put up 36 fantasy points just to stay in that game last week
but they were never in it. First of all, they were never in it. Those points off touchdowns were when the offense was on the field. It was not against their defense. I do not like that logic one bit. I don't mind Larry Fitzgerald, but that is flawed logic because, again, those were the offensive guys were on the field. They turned the ball over. It was not on them. And it was only, again, they were down by, 18 late, and those are all garbage time points. So
$20. Larry Fitzgerald has 10 points.
I'm not arguing that.
Oh, we threw a flag.
No, because your logic was flawed with that Seattle defense. All right. It's time now. Listen, it's early October, almost, right? Okay. You want to pay for your kid's Halloween costume? Those aren't cheap. Well, unless you don't love your kid and you buy those plastic ones that'll go up in a fire, But there's a lot of things coming. Christmas is around the corner, 2.5 months. But I tell you what, I'm going to Disney World, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the money I won from last week and pay for about 2/3 my Disney trip with free money.
8-2 last week, folks.
8-2 combined. 80%. How much more do you want from us?
Venmo at Gerard, Gerard -Haran, Haran. It's good juju when you win 10 hands in a row in blackjack. What do? You give the dealer. You give the dealer a taste. Kevin gave you 5 last week. I gave you 3. The show went 8-2. At Patreon, at Venmo. It's good juju to give the dealer a taste.
Did I tell you when I was in Vegas 3 weeks ago, I won a brand new shoe, sat down with my buddy Ron Barba. I won 25. Barba. 25 hands in a row blackjack off the jump. He'll verify that.
25 in a row?
Ish. And then one guy, of course, doesn't ask permission. He sits down. I go, no. You don't sit down. He goes, well, it's like a new shoe almost. I'm like, dude, we're red hot. You're supposed to ask when you sit down. Is it okay if I jump in? There's a brand new table over there. The dealer's got all the cards spread out. Sit over there. And he would not sit over there.
If Kevin did that to me and I didn't know who he was, I would have whooped his ass.
No. You ask permission when you sit down. Don't be a rude little, I was going to say, see you next Tuesday.
When I play in Atlantic City, when I play down there, my girlfriend absolutely loves blackjack. She loves it. She goes nuts. I don't play blackjack that often, and when I do, I don't follow the rules. I'm a hunch better.
I would hate you. I would throw you out of there so fast.
There was one time, man. Sidebar here. She had to be like a little 5'1". She had
Asian.
Had to be 80 years old Asian lady.
They yell at you. I do too, but they do too.
I won the bet. I got blackjack. I hit on a 17 with the dealer showing 10. She lost her mind, all right? She went nuts on me.
17?
Because I don't know. I saw a face card, and I said, no, I had to feel it. I played the hunch. My man.
I hate you.
I hit 21.
I'd throw the table
blackjack.
Over.
And then she
you didn't have blackjack. That's not 20.
She cursed me off. She cursed me off, man. Me off. She went nuts on me. She's like, that's why you don't sit at table. If you don't know how to play, don't sit at table.
I 100% agree.
Now I'm canceled, obviously. That wasn't me making fun of her. That was an accurate representation of what happened.
Did she pull out that long hair out of her mole and strangle me with you?
She bullied me off the table. She got the other 3 people at the table to gang up. I won the hand.
You took the hand for the dealer, the bust. No.
That's what she said.
Thank you.
She said the dealer would have busted. We all would have won.
That's it. You don't have to be a hero.
I don't play for everybody else to win. I play for all number 1.
No.
You understand?
You do not take the bus card.
Rallied the other troops. She like Mao Zedong. She got the rest of the proletariat to rise up against me. And I had to leave.
It's Russian.
My girlfriend was she was so embarrassed. She was apologizing to the rest of them. We had to leave.
I don't blame her. I was completely side with Mao Zedong's wife.
At Bally's, she got me out of there, man. I outweighed this woman by easily 150 pounds. I could have squashed her head like a melon, and she absolutely got rid of me. She 86 to me, man.
I would
86 big guy.
I would absolutely throw that table on top of you for doing that. I absolutely have no patience for people to take bus cards. Anyway, free money time. First pick for the free picks. Actually, here we go. Pats under 42.5. Brady versus the Bills. Remember that game we were at Jersey City last year? I watched it. We hung out, watched the game, had some wings. The Bills almost covered that thing by themselves, but the Pats ran a kickoff.
Josh Allen's a completely different player this year.
Brady versus the Bills. Ready? 3 touchdowns touchdowns, 4 picks in the last 2 years against Buffalo. Shane Andrews out. Wynn, their lineman, out. Hightower and Edelman, questionable. Pats under 11 out of 15. 5 out of 7 under on the road. Under 4 out of 5 in September. Like I said, 11 out of 15 under. Bills, under 5 out of 6. Under 5 out of 7 versus the Pats. Under 8 out of 12 versus the AFC. Under 5 out of 5 in September. What more do you want? In Buffalo, under 42.5. Love the under. Pats, Bills. Your first bet.
All right, free money. I'm pulling a page out of Kevin's book this week, and I'm going with a teaser here. 2 picks for the price of 1, and we're going to hit on both. Cash in the bank, no doubt about it. We have the Rams. We're teasing them down to 3.5, and we have the Redskins against my Giants. You know I love the Giants, but I do not believe the Giants can cover even the 3. They do not know how to handle prosperity. I believe that you could take the Redskins all the way up to plus 9.5. The Giants, plus 9. I'm sorry, plus 9. The Giants win the game maybe outright, but it's a close game. That defense cannot hold, ladies and gentlemen. I like LA, especially LA at 3.5, and the Redskins plus 9. That's 2 scores against the poorest Giants defense. I'm a big fan of that pick.
I like that pick too. In fact, it's now time for yet another teaser with your boy. I'm taking the Ravens down to -1 at home against the Browns, who I've pooped on throughout this podcast. And the Vikings to plus 8. Who are the bookies giving the Vikings plus 2 to start with in Chicago? Now I can take it to plus 8. Do you think the Bears are going to win by more than a touchdown against that defense? No. Some stats, why not? Baltimore 1-4 of late, but 8-3 straight up. But I'm laying 1, so it's virtually a pick 'em. They're 1-7 at home of late against the spread, but 10-1 straight up at home against Cleveland. 4-1 straight up in September. Cleveland, 3-17 straight up on the road. Do you trust the Cleveland Browns after what you saw Sunday night?
Rex Ryan does not.
No. I trust the Ravens after a loss in Kansas City.
Absolutely.
So Ravens -1, Vikings plus 8. So that's what I love right there. That's my second pick. Boom.
Cincinnati getting 4 points in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is 0-3. They have a rookie quarterback, and there is something foul in the state of Denmark. We talked about it earlier. I love you, Pittsburgh. I had a great time in Pittsburgh. I had some of the best times of my life in Moon County, right outside of Pittsburgh. But this team has something wrong with it. There is some stench that they can't get rid of. And Cincinnati is 0-3, but it's gone down to the wire in all 3 games. Give me Cincinnati. Now they're on the road, and they're getting 4 points, which means if they were at home, they'd actually be favored by 2. Give me the better team in a hostile environment.
Interesting pick. In fact, you're right. The Bengals, I think they covered all 3 games against the spread.
All 3 games, and they've been in all 3 games.
No, I know. The Seattle, which blew me away in week 1 in Vegas, one of my big losses. I had a teaser. They screwed me. 3 points could not cover. Last week, they almost took out the Bills, but the Bills came back but did not cover. Not a bad pick. Talked about at the top of the show, we talked about big spreads and the Miami Dolphins and how inept they are. But guess what? The Chargers fly east for a 1 o'clock game. Do I like the Dolphins this week? I do like the Dolphins this week.
Oh, my God.
Plus 15.5.
Oh, my God.
The LA Chargers are 0-4-1 against the spread in September. The Chargers are 1-4 straight up and against the spread against Miami. Did you watch that Miami game last week against Dallas? You can throw the flag all you want to. I'm getting 15.5.
It's not enough. It's not enough.
Miami showed up. They were losing to Dallas by only 7 points at the half. They even came back and did an onside kick at the half.
They have lost 3 games covered 20-point spreads.
Right. But Miami drove at the end of the game. They went for it on 4th down on the Dallas 40, did not get it. They could have covered that if they would have gotten that touchdown. 35% of the LA Chargers offense is on Keenan Allen. If somehow the Miami Dolphins realize that and roll coverage over that way, they can stop them and stop them cold. Not stop them cold, but at least slow them down. 15.5 is a lot. Now, you're to tell me this, and I was actually afraid.
Austin Eckler's going to go off for 30 points.
That's fine, but I don't think that the Chargers, if anyone can bungle a lead or screw up a cover, it is the Chargers. Is everyone loading up on the Chargers in suicide pools this week? Maybe. I'm not, because they're the team that does not have a kicker. If they play tight, if they're playing a close game, they play very tight. Anthony Lynn is not a good head coach. If that game is close, which I think it will be, that's the only possibility in the upcoming weeks. I can see them possibly losing the game. 15.5 points. Tell me a win that the Chargers have this year that's convincing. Go ahead.
Sure. I get it, but Miami is
a lot of points.
Historically bad.
And everyone's banged up on defense for the Chargers as well. Their kicker, they're off. Russell Okung's still banged up. Hunter Henry's out for the year. What did they do last week at home against the Texans? Lost outright. That was one of my picks. Miami plus 15.5. Like it. Really like it. But the Patreon picks I love. Stay tuned, but only by going on patreon.com/fantasyfootballjibberjabber. Your next pick.
Dallas giving 2.5 to the New Orleans Saints.
Oof.
I think that, actually, Kevin, you're one of the guys that convinced me on this, right? So you went in and you said that win in Seattle was smoke and mirrors. It was a mirage. It was actually a giveaway by Seattle, not a takeaway by New Orleans. Now, Alvin Kamara is an absolute world-class talent. He may be the best all-around running back in the league. Who has the best linebacking core in the NFL?
I'd say the Dallas Cowboys. Van Der Esch is a monster.
Not one, not two, but three linebackers that can cover wide receivers in space and work downhill. You have Jalen Smith. You have Sean Lee, and you have the aforementioned Van Der Esch. Yeah. You have a tough defensive line. You got Dak playing out of his mind. You got Ezekiel Elliott rounding into shape. I don't think this is a 2.5 game. I think Dallas is going to boat race New Orleans. I would take both Dallas 2.5 and the over 47.
Bonus pick. It's not even on our Patreon page. How dare you? So that's it for free money. Guys, listen, week 4, Gerard Harron and I, we both destroyed it in the bets for last week. Not so much for the fantasy players.
Well, the sleepers we got.
Sleepers all right. Hot trash
hit the hot trash.
Hot trash we killed, but
you got to also remember. Now, all right, I don't want to couch this, and I don't want to be like, oh, but. Remember, please remember, because we don't say it at the beginning of every show, we are not allowed to pick the top 5 of every position.
Right.
So we're picking from 6 down. So when we give a cold cash player, and people hit us up like you guys do on lives, and we love you for it, but you're like, how come you didn't tell me to play Dalvin Cook? My friend, if you need me to tell you to play Dalvin Cook, then I'm going to tell you this. Invest your money elsewhere. You are the moron in the room, right? The old saying is, if you can't pick out the sucker in the room,
you are the sucker.
You are the sucker. And if you need us to tell you that you need to start Dalvin Cook, then my friend, fantasy football is not for you. So please remember, take it with a grain of salt when we hit on our cold cash that we're picking from 6 down, all right? We're here to help you win your leagues, but you should already have the top 5 players in each position. The sleepers and the hot trash, where we tell you to stay away from and who you should pick up on bye weeks like this, the first bye week of the season, that's when we're going to help you make your money. So again, and that's our fault. We're not explaining it well enough at the top. We don't have a disclaimer. We're a low-budget production here, folks. We're
shooting my house, for Christ's sake.
We're doing the best we can, all right? We're doing the best we can with what we have. So just remember, if you're top 5 in any position, you're cold cash automatic. Yeah. I'm not telling you to play Eric Ebron over Evan Ingram. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if you're one of the 6 teams in the league that doesn't have an everyday starting tight end, and you have to stream, you're in the bottom half of the league, we're here to help you with that streaming pick, all right?
We're good.
Now, the other thing I do want to say, a few of you have hit us up, and a few of you had DM'd us about kickers and DST. We don't cover that because of time restrictions, but if that is something that you'd like us to cover, because everybody does stream that, everybody does pick that up, and we do drop people.
Unless you're our friend Jeffrey Paul, who drafts kickers in the 7th round.
If you'd like us to talk about kickers and DST,
Patreon.com.
We are happy to do so. All right? So, again, for me and Kevin, I want to thank you. Obviously, we're in a new situation here. We have new opportunities coming for us, but we want to thank each and every one of you that watched this. We had over 1,000 views on YouTube last week, and we had over 5,000 views on Facebook. We're growing, and from the bottom of our hearts, and from both Adam and Andrew, who you don't get to see, who are just absolute, just production angels.
Very well produced.
Yeah, and make this thing happen for us. We're doing the best we can, and thank you so much for all of your support. We do this for you. We do this because we love this, and
because we want to sell this show,
of course,
and get on a network and quit our day jobs. They're not fun. They're not fun at all. We want to get out of here.
Yeah.
But more importantly, listen, since you guys do love the show, and again, we do thoroughly love all of your love and feedback and questions. Just do us a few simple favors. Like and share Fantasy Football Jibber Jabber, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Just like and share. Like the page. You have no idea how much it helps us out.
But hit us up. I mean, Kevin,
sure.
you did this week. We had a couple people asking questions on our Facebook. I remember just yesterday, somebody asked a question who they should start and sit. Kevin actually went in and he answered all these questions of who you should start and sit. We're here. We're just normal dudes like you guys. We just happen to be a little better at this than everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
A little? A lot.
Just hit us up. Be interactive. This only works if we work together. And it's growing. So we know that you're doing it, and we know that you're sharing, and we know that you're liking, and we're expressing gratitude. Thank you so much. 1,000 people on YouTube, 5,000 people on Facebook. You guys are killing it. Just keep it up. Thank you.
And first of all, secondly, actually, two things. One, go to Black Betty's and support them. They're supporting us.
Totally,
Black Betty's on Route 35 in Sayreville, New Jersey. Support them.
It's a good time. We poke some fun, but it's a good time.
My buddy Matt Carangelo hit a great idea. And if you guys are taking our bets, which a lot of you are, I want you to go out and say, hey, thanks, Fantasy Football Jibber Jabber. You won me X amount of dollars. My buddy Matt Carangelo won $200 last week from our picks.
And that's the point. We want to make you money.
And if you do lose your money, say, hey, you guys, you guys pooped yourselves on that one.
And also the Venmo and the Patreon. Tip your dealer.
Tip your waiter. Listen, it's not free. Kevin Goatee, Gerard Heron, at Kevin Goatee, at Gerard Heron VT on all the websites and Facebook and all that Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And of course, again, one more time, patreon.com/Fantasy Football Jibber Jabber. We're not taking $1 for this. We're taking the money and we're putting it back into promoting on Facebook, on Instagram, all those sort of things, on Reddit. We're taking all the money we get from sponsorships and putting it back into the show. Again, you guys know that because you're watching and you're sharing, and we want to say thank you so much. Good luck in week 4. We'll see you next week. Kevin Goatee, Gerard Heron, and the boys, Andrew and Adam, are out.